what I talk about in the book is that I don't think this is necessarily some evil conspiracy by the FBI, that there's people at the top level of the FBI who say, we want to really, stick it to the Muslim community, and we want to really, portray as terrorists people who aren't terrorists. I don't think that's what's happening. But what is happening is that every year the FBI gets $3 billion for terrorism, which is the largest part of its budget. It's more money than the FBI receives for organized crime, for financial fraud, for areas that were typical of FBI investigation. And the FBI really can't spend $3 billion and come back to Congress and say, hey, we spent all your money and we didn't find any terrorists. Instead, these sting operations are a very convenient mechanism for the FBI to show that it's spending your money wisely, that it's protecting the homeland, and also be able to justify further funding. And so this man, James Cromedy, has $300 in government money in his pocket, spends the whole evening traveling in and around New York City asking people where he could buy a gun. And he failed. He wasn't able to buy a gun in New York. And so ultimately this is a guy that the government portrayed as this dangerous terrorist. He's serving 25 years in prison. Robert Mueller goes to Congress and says, this is a terrorist attack we thwarted, but left to his own devices, he wasn't able to buy a gun in New York City. And I think in so many ways this is that speaks to the level of sophistication of many of the people who are drawn into these terrorism sting operations. And what I make the argument in the book is that this is really a bureaucratic problem, that we have, and by Congress setting the FBI's budget, there's so much money that it needs to work with, and so it needs results. So there's pressure from the top to build counterterrorism cases. That pressure flows down to field offices, such as the one in Portland, and the agents in those field offices are then pressuring their informants, and there are thousands of informants now working counterterrorism, to find people. And in turn, these informants are also incentivized by money, by working off criminal charges, that they're looking for the Mohamed Mohamuds, they're looking for the James Cromedys, the person who says, I want to commit an act of terrorism, but on their own they're unable to, and yet through these sting operations they empower them to become terrorists that on their own they never would. Talk of Iraq, right, was nuclear weapons and chemical weapons and things like that. Right. Under the legal definition in U.S. federal court, a weapon of mass destruction can be something like a car bomb, or something that would do, if someone had a bomb that they could put in this room, for example, and kill dozens of us, that would be considered a weapon of mass destruction